Senator John McCAIN chairs the Armed Services Committee, of course, and is just back from a trip to Iraq and joins me now. Senator, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrea.
Well, first of all, your assessment of what the president said today, and then I want to ask you about what the Defense Secretary, Ash Carter, said today on the House side about ground forces. But what about the president's analysis of what to do now against ISIS, and that it is going to take a while to move Putin to back off Assad?
Well, first of all, it was obvious all along that Vladimir Putin wants to keep Bashar Assad in power, and that has been his whole MO, including bombing operations not against ISIS, but against those moderates that are trying to unseat Bashar Assad, so that we'd only have a choice between ISIS and Bashar Assad. So that's quite a different tone from what the Secretary of State has been espousing, I might add delusionally, and the President. We've got to understand that Vladimir Putin wants to keep Bashar Assad in power, and he will do what's necessary to do so. As far as my trip and with the Secretary of Defense's remarks this morning, I'm encouraged somewhat by an increase in our capabilities and presence there, but it's a reaction, Andrea, rather than an action. It's a reaction to Paris. There is no strategy. I find from our visit, Lindsey Graham and my visit, General McFarlane is a great leader. We have an excellent ambassador. We have a good team on the ground, but there is no strategy. There's no strategy to defeat ISIS. I think Ramadi will fall sometime relatively soon, but then you've got Raqqa, of course, and Mosul and others, and if it's going to take a long time. The dominant influence in Iraq right now is Iran, I'm sorry to say, and the Shiite militias, and the Sunnis obviously cannot stand the Shiite militias. So if they are going into the Sunni areas, it can cause much more trouble than could be gained. It's complicated, but right now we have no strategy.
Your strategy would be, if I understand it correctly, to have a regional force go into Iraq and Syria. From where would we draw?
Not to Iraq, into Syria.
Not to Iraq,
yes.
Into Syria. Where would we draw those forces? Our Arab allies, so-called allies, are not even performing airstrikes right now. They haven't done that for months with the Saudis, the UAE, and Jordan. So where would we draw this regional force?
Well, first of all, could I say in Iraq, we now have 3,500 and for all intents and purposes, a lot more than that. So it would require about 5,000 more in support areas, even Apache helicopters and others, other capabilities. And we are doing a good job with our special forces. These people are really outstanding. But again, they have no strategy. As far as Syria is concerned, you've now seen the Saudis involved in Yemen. You've seen a real change in their behavior. If we told them that we would eliminate both Bashar Assad and ISIS, I think you could put together a coalition. You're not going to defeat them from the air. You're going to have people on the ground, and I believe you could assemble that coalition with the United States playing a supporting role, because they realize that ISIS and Bashar Assad are a direct threat to them.
Let me just be clear about American troops, American Special Operation Forces in Syria, in particular, what Ash Carter was talking about today. Do you support that? Is enough being proposed?
Well, it's incrementalism. It's reminiscent, frankly, of the Vietnam conflict, when we would react to North Vietnamese or Viet Cong successes. It also indicates we don't have a strategy. We're reacting to Paris. We have to articulate, lay down a strategy. And if that requires more American involvement, and I'm not talking about 100,000 or a surge, but more American involvement, then we ought to tell the American people that. They would support it if we said, look, here's how we win. Right now, there is no firm date when we could get ISIS out of Raqqa or even Mosul. And as long as they're there and they have a base, they are metastasizing. Yes, there's success coming in Ramadi. Look what's happening in Libya. They're now taking over Sirte, Gaddafi's old hometown, and they're going to be able to orchestrate attacks from there. They are metastasizing, and time is not on our side.
John McCAIN, thank you very much. Thanks for your patience today.
Thank you, Andrea.